smart money in the options market, saying will most likely increase till 3%, 2%, something like that, Fed funds, and then they're going to break something, and then it's going to be so bad that they're going to have to take rates negative. Fed funds negative.
Right. Globalization refers to the spread of the flow of financial products, goods, technology, information, and jobs across national borders and cultures. In economic terms, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe, fostered through free trade. George Gammon has stated that nowadays globalization is starting to deteriorate and its end may start another inflationary period for the world. In today's video, we dive deeper into this topic, as George Gammon reflects his views on the upcoming future of economy. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let's see what's in store for us in the future.
End of globalization, and the pendulum will swing back to decentralization. So history tells us it would start happening right here. We see it now happening right here. Even Larry Fink came out and called and said, I think it was a week or two ago, said this is the end of globalization. Even Larry Fink says that, and he's a globalist.
Yeah.
And so, one key point is that, trying to predict where things go in the future, we're looking at, what's happening with the global economy and what is the Fed doing and things like that. Inflation, deflation is kind of that debate. But it seems like since 1971, we got a gold standard. We've printed hundreds of trillions of dollars, and we've been able to hide that inflation because of the globalization, right? But if we start deglobalizing and we supply chains start breaking down, we're onshoring things, everyone's holding their own gold in their hands, that's going to push inflation higher. It seems like, right? Because we're not going to be able to decrease costs that way. And I guess first question would be, do you think that's going to be inflationary if we're deglobalizing, as Larry Fink and I would agree with?
Absolutely. It's just a matter of timing.
Right.
I'm kind of, my base case for 2022 is that let's just assume the CPI is accurate for a moment. The CPI probably continues to go up Q2, but then maybe Q3, Q4 starts to go back down until we get a government response. And then, if we got M2 growing again by 25%, then you see the CPI start going back up again. The reason is because the aggregate demand is really, really going to run into some problems here with mortgage rates north of 5%.
Let me just clarify that. When you say CPI going up, do you mean like actually going down, or the rate of increase slowing down? So do you see like it's 8.5? Do you see it going down to 8 and 7.5, or do you think it increases slower?
No, I think it goes down.
Okay.
Now, to be clear, I don't think it goes down to 2 or 3 or where it was before. But I think that you see it not only take a breather, but go from, let's say, 8.5, 9%, wherever we are then, down to maybe 8, 7.5, something like that, because a few different reasons. Number one, they're raising rates. Number two, you see mortgage rates really going up.
Yeah.
Number three, you see incomes actually going down. You see credit card debt going up. You see the inversion of the yield curve. You see also too, I was listening to Snyder and Mike Green and Emil yesterday, and Mike was, he's really into options, obviously, and he was talking about how the options on the Eurodollar futures, which basically predict Fed funds,
right?
The options that would be in the money if the Fed takes rates negative have skyrocketed in price. So this is the market saying that, or at least the smart money in the options market saying, will most likely increase till 3%, 2%, something like that, Fed funds, and then they're going to break something, and then it's going to be so bad that they're going to have to take rates negative, Fed funds negative. Right. And so that's a lot of aggregate demand that is being destroyed, or is a lot less than it was in 2020 and 2021, which brought the CPI up to 8.5% in the first place. So if you've got that much aggregate demand being destroyed, then the other component there is, well, supply. So in order for prices to continue to go up, you would have to have supply being decreased at a faster rate. Now that's possible. That is absolutely possible, that we see aggregate demand go down, meaning people have less and less purchasing power.
That's the demand pull, they call it.
Yeah, and then you have supply, or the the supply chains break down even further. We see obviously what's going on in Russia, Ukraine. That's not helping the supply chains by any stretch, and so the supply chains get worse and worse and worse. We have less fertilizer, therefore food prices go up. We have less access to less energy, therefore energy prices go up, and that filters through the entire economy, because that energy really impacts every single price, because every single thing you buy at the grocery store has to be transported there by a truck or a ship or a combination of both that need that energy. So we could see supply go down at such a rapid rate that it goes down faster than aggregate demand. Therefore, prices still go up. But right now, kind of my base case is that supply continues to go down or flatlines a little bit, and aggregate demand goes down to an extreme level, or to an extreme degree. And this gives us that CPI going from 9.5 down to, let's say, 8, 7.5, something like that. And then I think the government comes and says, we have like a market crash as an example, and the government says, okay, CARES Act 2.0, but instead of 5 trillion, this time it's 10 trillion. And that's when the Fed takes rates negative, if you're going to believe the options market on the Eurodollar futures curve. And then that's where you see inflation go from 7% to 12% to 15%. And then we'll lose something, or we'll take a little bit of a breather. I mean, if you look at inflation in the 1940s, if you look at inflation in the 1970s, it never goes up in a straight line.
Sure.
It never goes from 5 to 7 to 9 to 15 to 25. It doesn't do that. It goes up. There's a lot of volatility in the interim.
Oh yeah. I mean, just look at the chart of Weimar, the Weimar Republic, and it looks like a hockey stick straight up. But if you look in at the volatility there, it was massive amounts of volatility. So this deglobalization will be highly inflationary, but that's going to take time to play out. So in the shorter term, maybe some deflationary, and then maybe, but over the longer term.
I wouldn't say deflationary, because that would imply prices going down. I'm definitely not saying prices are going down. I'm just saying disinflation. So CPI goes from, let's just say 9 down to 7.5. So
I posted
you're still having price increases.
I think maybe if you took the core CPI, right, if you remove energy and food, I posted a chart on Twitter earlier today, and basically it showed how, because, if you look at inflation year over year, and it showed April, May, and June of 2021 were very abnormally low. There was this dip. And so then that means that because they were so abnormally low last year in 2021, then the year over year growth is going to be massive in the next month and two. So that's going to be something that could easily push, and that's the food piece, and that could easily push food, in my guess, up to 15%, just looking at year over year growth because of that.
Yeah, the base effects.
Yeah, the base effects. And then, again, back to the core CPI, so the food and energy, the government can't print more of those things. And so obviously the 30% of the wheat in Russia, Ukraine, that's disrupted big time. But even the US, I saw a report yesterday that shows our wheat is the lowest level it's been in the United States this year as well.
And Zoltan pointed that out as well in his report, Mark. He said that he referenced some of the past crises that we've had. And one, obviously the GFC 2008. He said, well, think about the solution there. You've got a financial crisis, and therefore the Fed can come in. Let's just assume that the fix was providing liquidity, and therefore you kind of calm the markets, and everything doesn't go back to normal, but at least it kind of flatlines, and you're able to build on that with the Fed having the ability to, or a great example would be the survey sickness in 2022 in March.
Yeah.
Where the Fed was able to come in and backstop the corporate debt market through the special purpose vehicle. Yep. And that really kept things from getting out of hand. So the Fed could do that by simply basically just creating bank reserves out of thin air. Yep. But Zoltan's point is, okay, fine. If you've got an issue of dollar liquidity, the Fed can fix that. But if you've got an issue of no oil or no energy or no wheat or food, Fed can't fix that one.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's not a lot they can do over that, except I guess follow the China playbook, which I hadn't thought of, is maybe just lock people inside for a few weeks at a time and they don't eat.
Yeah, or at least maybe reduce the. I don't know if that would reduce the food supply. Maybe I was wrong there, but at least reduce
demand.
the demand for potentially food, but most likely energy as well. You know, if they're thinking, you know, it was another kind of thought experiment I was going through the other day. Is my guess is that Putin is talking to Xi Jinping. I would be surprised if they're not.
Sure.
And you know, it just makes you wonder if 2 or 3 weeks ago or a month ago, or whenever they went into these lockdowns, it makes zero sense that he didn't have a call with Putin. And after he gets off that call, he's like, okay, I went from thinking the probability of nuclear war was 1% to now I'm thinking it's 50%. And if there's going to be nuclear war, then we're going to need, you know, we're already short on energy, and we're going to need to conserve as much energy as we possibly can, because you want to talk about supply chains being disrupted, right? That's going to disrupt a lot of supply chains, obviously.
Yeah.
And so maybe that was part of his rationale. Who knows? It's a total speculation, obviously. But just kind of just throwing out another thing to think about.
Well, we know China has serious energy problems. I mean, that's some of the speculation around why they kicked all the Bitcoin miners out wasn't because they were trying to control their currency or control and escape from their currency, but rather it was an energy problem that they had. And we saw that they were shutting down, they were rationing energy in Shenzhen and even shutting down the iPhone plants. And it's like, man, if you're shutting down iPhone plants, you're probably shutting down a lot of things before that. So we know they're having those serious energy problems. So, man, going into this World War III scenario, then that's interesting. So going from a low single-digit probability to a 50% probability of some sort of
that's just a guess. I have no proof that he did that, or I'm just trying to. Those Shanghai lockdowns make zero sense. So I'm just trying to, you know, just throw everything up against a wall and just see if there's something there that sticks.
And that's it for today. What do you think? Is globalization on the brink of collapse, and what can we expect if free trade between the world will freeze? Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe to our channel. Best of luck, and we'll see you in another video.